What is it, if the sublime is so exciting, that brings us into conformism?
There's two ways of attacking that. First, we're social animals by nature, and it plays an incredibly powerful role in our lives. We are defined as by other people. Our ability to learn language, our culture, all of our thoughts, we're hybrids. We're part. So our parents live inside of us, our siblings live inside of us, our teachers. We have bits of other people. There's no escaping that. There's really, in truth, no such thing as an actual individual. Right? We're social creatures by nature. We pick up the emotions of people, the moods, their feelings on nonverbal levels, and it has a profound impact on us. It's the whole secret behind marketing, behind virality, behind viral, behind memes. We're very susceptible to imitating what other people are doing because we're very vulnerable to their moods, their emotions. That's a continual danger. I mean, it's got a positive side. It allows us to be who we are, to create. One of the most amazing skills that we have is our empathy, our mind-reading ability, which we see in some primates, but it's pretty much a unique human ability to put ourselves in the skin of other people and try and figure out what their world is like. Very interesting, psychologists have studied children and how from the age of 1 and 2 to 3, they start developing this mind-reading skill. It's extremely powerful. These are social skills that are absolutely phenomenal, that have led to who we are. But the dark side is the tendency to conform, the tendency to want to fit in. There have been fascinating studies of people who live in isolation. That could be either in prison, where you're in isolation block, where you're by yourself for long periods. Or there was this book called Alone by one of the Antarctic explorers, Antarctica, who was trapped in this little hut for like 3 months by himself. There have been other experiments. And what happens when you're alone is you lose a sense of being alive, being a human being. You go literally insane. So we need to see other people, to look at their eyes, to make us feel like we're alive, like we're human, like we're aware and conscious. So to feel isolated, to feel like you've been banished from your group, almost feels like death to us. We have incredible impulse to want to belong to whatever group it is, and it determines a lot of our behavior. So when you're getting back to the sublime, I'm now trying to circle back through this very long tangent here. I talk about there's the sublime and there's the false sublime. So we can't escape the desire to somehow be connected to something larger than who we are, because we feel trapped in our bodies, we feel trapped in our mortality. We want to attach ourselves to a great cause, to some religion, to something bigger than who we are, right? It's deeply human. And so there's the true sublime, and there are false negative ways of getting that. Addictions are, to me, a kind of false sublime, because they give you a sense of, they titillate you, they give you an excitement. Or a lot of movies are kind of like that. They're manipulating your emotions, they're making you feel like there's something weird, strange out there, but it's not coming from within you. It's like somebody telling you how to think or how to behave. The sublime has to be something active. So the difference between the false and the real is, are you being passive and manipulated, or are you actively engaging in the process? Are you being actively social? Are you using those empathy skills, that mind reading, creating some kind of following or some powerful social movement? Or are you passively just trying to be part of the herd? So that's, to me, the difference between the two.
How can we know if we're in that active phase, or if we're being influenced, especially as we get so much information these days through, as we've talked about earlier, platforms that are meant to influence us?
You realize at a certain point, maybe it's with age, you're never going to arrive at some perfect truth, at some perfect reality outside of manipulation, right? Because we're always being manipulated, and the whole point of manipulation is you don't realize it. If you're being manipulated and by someone who's really smart, you have no idea, you have no clue you'll go, yeah, I did that because I want to do it. You don't realize the marketing person, you don't realize that your will is actually being, I'm constantly being manipulated, and I write about it. So it's impossible to totally get out of that. It's the moment you think you're this powerful, independent, autonomous individual, that's dangerous. You want to be aware of your own limitations. You want to be aware that you are being manipulated. Don't fool yourself into thinking that you're the one person on this planet that has somehow escaped the news media or Facebook and social media or Instagram or all the other little forces operating on us. You're not. You are being manipulated. And just knowing that you have that weakness, that you have that frailty, that you're human, that it's natural, is almost enough. Because now you have the ability to step back and look at yourself sometimes and go, honestly, is that coming from me or is that coming from someone else? Now, I'm getting back to what I said, you can never know for sure because you think it comes from you and what you really desire when you buy that product. But maybe there's a little bit of something from your parents, from your childhood that you're not aware of. But to the degree that you can open the lens up and see the forces operating on you, you have a degree of control. You can become active instead of passive. So that's the difference I see.
And how do we know what those forces are in us? Is that back to the meditation practice? Is this a journaling thing?
Yes, it is. I said in the very beginning that this one thing I'm telling you is like the key to the whole universe, right?
Yeah.
And it really truly is. I mean, I don't know if I expressed it well enough. But that ability to step back and look at yourself and not give into the emotion and for just 3 seconds analyze why you're thinking this, why you're feeling it, is almost enough to be able to have that power. It's not the complete answer. As I said, have some humility in life. You are not as powerful as you think. You're not as good as you think. You're not as smart as you think, right? You are open to manipulation, but just being able to see yourself, that's the whole bloody point of the Laws of Human Nature. Now that book is thick, right? It's the longest book I've written. I apologize to everyone for that, okay? But I'm trying to drum this into your head to be aware of the fact that you have these frailties, that you feel envy, that you are self-absorbed, that you can be irrational and stupid, that you're short-sighted, that you have a dark side, that you're aggressive, that you have grandiosity, on and on and on. The only way to get out of those negative emotions is to be aware of the fact that they're in you. Denying it is a sure thing that you actually have the problem. So denying that you're manipulated, denying that you don't control yourself, means that you are being controlled, means you are being manipulated. Denial is a very powerful human thing. And Freud said, when the human brain denies something, it is actually unconsciously admitting the opposite. And that's what's going on, okay? So just being able to look at yourself and go, I'm not going to deny it, I'm going to admit to myself that these forces are operating on me is almost enough. Now, how do you identify those sources? That's a whole other issue. I could give some deep thought to that, but first be aware that it's happening to you and don't think that you're the one exception out there.
Yeah.